Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the fourth episode of Designer Diaries, a series where I break down the most important aspects of every project at architecture school and provide you with as much support as possible to help you along your way. This week, we'll be discussing design development. Please feel free to make any notes along the way, and don't forget to save the video to re-watch it when you get to this stage of your architecture project. So, without further ado, grab your notepad and your pen, and let's get into it. Design development in architecture school is a crucial stage in the design process. This is where students refine their initial design concepts into more detailed and technically feasible solutions. This stage typically follows the design concept phase and precedes the finalization of construction drawings. The key components of design development include refining the initial design concepts based on your tutor's feedback, develop the spatial organization and programming, considering structural systems and integration, but more on this in the next episode, exploring material options and design specifications, developing architectural details, ensuring compliance with building codes and regulations, creating drawings, models, and presentations to communicate your ideas, and of course, iterating and refining the design based on the feedback you receive. The first concept you come up with will most certainly not be the final outcome, and you should fall in love with the process of continuously refining and iterating your design. This is so that you can arrive at a much more sophisticated outcome at the end and look back at all of the stages you went through. It's a constant cycle where you refine and define your idea and improve your designs based on the analysis and feedback you receive from your peers and tutors. Additionally, you will be researching more topics that relate to your scheme and working to design spaces based on your findings. Therefore, I believe that it's really important to choose something that you're really passionate about, as you'll be spending a large proportion of your time actually working on this project. So why not make it fun? During architecture school, there were many elements and areas that I researched and studied into. This is so that I could have a much more enriching brief to then work on developing as the time went on. I think it will be really beneficial to give you guys some of the topics that I looked into so that you can use them as starting points and then work with your tutors into seeing what other areas you can kind of research into. So my list covers topics such as the history of the site, the build-up of the surrounding context, the challenges locals face, how can I improve the social, economic, and environmental state of the surrounding context, what is the overarching objective of my scheme, why do I believe that my scheme is necessary, and how do I believe it will benefit those in the short and long term, how does my scheme respond to climate change and other environmental threats, both on a local and global scale, and from that, how can I implement technical strategies within my design to combat those? Material research, precedent studies, understanding not just suitable aesthetics, but as my tutors in university used to tell me and the studio every single time when it got to precedent analysis, you should be looking into precedents in much greater depth, kind of picking out the specifics that you believe will work for your project and why they will work, and kind of dissecting that information and then reapplying it to your own project. Don't just study a precedent because you think it looks nice. Investigate it with purpose and implement it with certainty. Your tutors will appreciate this much more, and you will receive much more advanced feedback based on this in order to get you to that sophisticated level of design development. Trust me. Remember, all of the effort that you put in now, you'll get out of it, and this will make the journey much more enjoyable. A couple more elements that I think you should consider are studying research papers. Study research papers that are relevant to your project. Do they complement or contrast your own project hypothesis? Because from this, you can create a manifesto, which then outlines your own personal investigation. Then you can use the findings and everything that you studied into projecting that onto your own design resolution. Don't be afraid to think conceptually to start with. But remember, there will come a time where you have to put a stop to all of the abstract collages and all of the Photoshop renders that you do. I remember being stuck on kind of mass producing all of those collages and having a great time kind of thinking conceptually, but you have to kind of reel it in at some point and think about the design rationale and how it's going to be actually architecturally articulated. The final chapter of this week's episode of Designer Diaries will cover the importance of receiving feedback. Feedback from your peers and tutors will give you lots of valuable perspectives about your project. It can be easy at times to think that you've got it all figured out. And on the other hand, you feel like you can't get past a certain stumbling block that you encounter along your way in your project. This is where you will actually start to appreciate your tutorials more. You will see that different individuals bring different expertise, and by offering a fresh viewpoint and a different kind of perspective on your project, they will enrich your design process and encourage you to continue exploring certain elements. Feedback is one of, if not the most valuable tool in architecture school for your learning and growth. It provides you with opportunities to learn from your mistakes, experiment with alternative approaches, and expand your design repertoire. Although we hear stories of how some architecture schools are known for kind of the bullying or the disrespectful way that some tutors actually communicate with their students, we need to understand that that narrative doesn't apply to all architecture schools, and that we have a responsibility to call it out and work on improving the experiences that students will have in the future moving forward. To end this chapter and to bring an end to this week's episode of Designer Diaries, I want to highlight the notion of real-world preparation when receiving feedback in architecture school. Architects in practice regularly communicate and collaborate with clients, consultants, and their colleagues in order to refine their designs, and this whole process of receiving constructive and critical feedback mirrors the professional practice of architecture. And now that I've been working in practice for 6 months, I believe that there are also some other elements that are extremely crucial to kind of integrate within the design process at architecture school, and how schools should start teaching students from undergraduate level about the ways in which projects are carried out in practice. It astonishes me that this still isn't being discussed and taught when it's such a vital element of our day-to-day work. But hopefully with more of you guys pushing on this, I'm certain that we can work in collaboration with architecture schools and other industry organisations to push this through, and to start implementing this within the curriculum from undergraduate level and, most importantly, in masters too. So there we have it. That was a breakdown of the design development phase that you will go through in architecture school. I really hope that this video brought you lots of valuable support and guidance. Please ask any questions that you have in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure to answer every single one of them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode, which will be the final episode of Designer Diaries. Take care, everyone.